We went from experiencing the highs of highs for a 12-year-old boy, to then fighting for your life.
People across the country are coming together to support a Utah boy badly hurt before the Little League World Series. Tonight, Fox 13 News speaks with his father as the little boy continues to recover.
Tonight, more turmoil in the Salt Lake City School District, just weeks ahead of the start of a new school year. How concerned parents are reacting to the uncertainty in leadership.
He just did a full evaluation during that time where he said, I'm not scared to die.
A father seeking medical help for knee pain learns he has leukemia and dies 3 days later. Hear from his widow about this sudden loss and the legacy he leaves behind.
It's a taxing and emotional job, and they need to be able to take care of themselves.
And Fox 13 News goes in depth on the teacher shortage in Utah, why it's happening, and what's being done to keep educators in the classroom.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, we're learning more about what the last few days have been like for the family of Easton Oliverson.
He is the 12-year-old little leaguer who fell from a bunk bed in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. He's been hospitalized with very serious head injuries.
Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee has been staying in touch with Easton's family ever since the incident. He joins us in studio tonight. Brian.
Well, Easton's father, Jace, told me tonight Easton is breathing on his own, and some results came back showing that his brain is showing normal signs of functionality. Easton's parents told him what happened and why he's in the hospital now. His dad told me that Easton's overwhelmed with emotion.
The tragic story of Easton Oliverson has been shared across the world.
No matter what the outcome is, it's still going to be a long road for him.
The 12-year-old ball player on the Snow Canyon Little League team representing Utah in the Little League World Series is recovering in the hospital after falling from a bunk bed earlier this week.
He was awake enough to where we can explain to him what happened.
Some encouraging news on Wednesday. Easton was alert, talking, and had some sips of water. His dad also showed him a personalized video sending well wishes from his favorite baseball player.
He was awake enough to where I was able to show him a video of Mookie Betts, and the tears were just flowing.
Before the accident, Easton, his dad, and the entire team spent about a day in Williamsport. They got a chance to check out the stadium complex together and take part in media interviews and a photo shoot.
We went from experiencing the highs of highs for a 12-year-old boy, to then fighting for your life, having a tragedy come upon you where it's like a life or death situation. And Easton's story is a miracle story.
His dad told me that Easton is making great strides in a short amount of time.
Easton is not out of the woods. We still need those prayers. We still need someone watching over him, protecting him, and with the Army behind us, if those prayers continue, then he's going to continue to progress.
Jace and his family have been overwhelmed with support and love. The support he says Easton is worthy of.
For him to be at the state that he's in now is solely for the mere fact of the country praying for him.
Since I first spoke with Easton's family on Monday, they haven't wanted this to take away from the entire team's success. So let's meet the team from Santa Clara, representing Utah in the Little League World Series. Number 1, Jake Tomlinson. Number 2, Dash Avery. Number 3, Link Hafen. Number 4, Chaz Hickman. Number 5, Cody Raffel. Number 8, Brogan Coop. Number 9, Fallon Randall. Number 10, Preston Threlfall. Number 13, Reggie Entz. Number 14, Colton Gainey. Number 15, Colby Lamoureux. Number 16, Easton Oliverson. Number 19, Brex Whitney. The coaches, Jace Oliverson, Kyle Hafen, and Mark Entz. Easton's brother Brogan was cleared by Little League International to join the roster today. This is Team Utah. They played their first game in the Little League World Series on Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. That game is televised. You can learn more at fox13now.com. In studio, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We wish them the best.
Oh, go get them, boys. Go get them.
A lifelong friend of Easton's third base coach is helping raise money for Easton and his family. After the team punched their ticket to Williamsport, Grantsville resident Brad Orgill, he created an online store Monday with shirts and hats to raise money for the team. However, that has since evolved after Easton's injury. Now he's getting shirts made with hashtag Team Easton on them.
We have people from Canada, North Carolina. Word's gotten out in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. We've had probably 10 to 12 orders there. New York, Connecticut, California, Washington, New Mexico, Texas. I mean, it is pretty much almost every state.
Orgill says they've had 650 orders for hashtag Team Easton shirts so far. We do have a link posted to our website, fox13now.com, for those interested in supporting Easton and his family. A Salt Lake City School District Associate Superintendent Gwendolyn Johnson-White resigned today.
It comes as the school board put her boss, Dr. Timothy Gadsden, on administrative leave following multiple complaints against him, including favoritism, inappropriate travel, and workplace behavior.
Tonight, Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joins us live after speaking to a parent who says the district is failing its families. Emily.
Bob Kelly, that parent I spoke to, said he was considering switching schools last year, but when the district hired its first black superintendent, that compelled him to keep his kids here. Now he says all this change is sending a bad message.
The first day of school is less than 2 weeks away, and leadership in the Salt Lake City School District is just one big question mark.
The writing was on the wall that she was not wanted here. And I think the writing's on the wall that the school board doesn't want Dr. Gadsden here, and he brought her along.
It's still unknown whether Dr. Timothy Gadsden will return to his position as superintendent, and now the associate superintendent he hired, Gwendolyn Johnson-White, has resigned. Parent Lafayette Scott says he's sad but not surprised.
And I don't really see how she can go to work every day and feel as if she's going to be able to do her job correctly or with any kind of authority when obviously the school board doesn't have her back.
If Gadsden is removed by the board, the next superintendent will be the fourth leader in the last 4 years. Former school board member Michael Clara says the board and HR are to blame for the turnovers.
When you look into the background of the people that came in from out of state, they were not the most qualified people.
The NAACP and a current board member have told Fox 13 News the push to remove Gadsden is racist and discriminatory. Clara doesn't want to discount racism, but believes Johnson-White shouldn't have been hired.
There are some issues, just basic HR human resource issues that were not taken care of.
Still, teachers and parents refuse to let the uncertainty shadow the start of a new school year.
We did registration today, and it was a packed house, and the energy level was still there. The kids don't know any different. Teachers that I've spoken to, we're business as usual, and we have to get to the job of making sure that our kids' education gets met.
If the board chooses to terminate Gadsden's contract, it would have to be done in an open and public meeting. The next board meeting is scheduled for September 6th. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, you can tell it's kind of a pleasant evening out there tonight for Emily's live shot.
After another really hot day, another record-breaking day.
That's right. 100 degrees here in Salt Lake City was our high today, which brought us to 23 days this year in that triple-digit range, which beat the old record of 21 days. We actually beat the record yesterday when we got up to 22, but we beat it again today, taking us to 23 days this year. We still have a little bit of rain down just southwest of Utah into northwest Arizona and eastern Nevada, but we mainly have clear sky here across northern Utah. That's going to be important for something that I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. Temperatures through the evening tonight will be in the 70s for much of the night. We'll have those temps around 70 to 75 early tomorrow morning, and we're going to continue with those comfortable temperatures as you're waking up on Thursday mornings. Now, the reason I said it's going to be important that we're clear tonight is because of the question that I'm getting asked the most today. Will we be able to see the northern lights here in Utah tonight? I'll explain the answer coming up.
Allison, thanks so much. A new lightning-caused fire is burning in Helper tonight. No structures are threatened at this point, but smoke is visible from Price and Helper. There will be air support on scene as well tomorrow morning.
And the Steptoe fire that sparked right off of Highway 36 in Tooele County this evening is now fully contained. Firefighters say 15 to 20 acres burned on the private land. It was a witness driving by, Kylie Bruce, who shared this video. She says it was burning quickly at around 6:20 this evening near the gravel pit area where people often go to shoot guns. The cause of the fire at this time is still unknown.
Officials believe a fire at the Tooele Valley Behavioral Health Building last night might have been set intentionally. Investigators believe the arson suspect threw a rock through a window of an office belonging to the operations manager before starting the fire. Call Tooele Police if you can help catch this suspect.
A teen from Sandy accused of punching another boy and shouting homophobic slurs at him and his boyfriend made his very first court appearance today. Police say the 17-year-old victim was hugging his boyfriend goodnight when the suspect drove by yelling a slur, then came back 45 minutes later and punched the victim in the face. The teen now faces hate crime enhancements in connection with the assault charges.
It is outlawed in Utah, but LGBTQ conversion therapy may make a comeback. What Utah lawmakers have in mind.
And the idea of dredging Utah Lake and making islands has been put on hold. We're going to show you what else is going on. Utah's ban on LGBTQ conversion therapy may be revisited.
State Representative Brady Brammer tells Fox 13 News he's exploring whether Utah's Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing had the proper authority to implement an administrative rule that banned LGBTQ conversion therapy. A few years ago, a bill banning the practice, had a lot of momentum in the legislature, but failed to pass. It prompted then Governor Gary Herbert to institute a ban as an administrative rule in 2020. Equality Utah says it's fine to discuss it, but no changes are needed.
My understanding is that, Representative Brammer also intends to explore some questions around the legality of the language itself, and we are fully prepared to respond to that. We believe that conversion therapy bans are absolutely constitutional and that, our rule is fully defensible.
In a statement to Fox 13 News, Governor Cox says, as always, the well-being of parents and children is foremost in our minds, and we continue to watch the debate closely.
Lawmakers were briefed on a lawsuit challenging the state's ban on transgender girls playing school sports matching their gender identity. A judge now deliberating whether to block the ban from being enforced. But some lawmakers questioned why some students are being allowed to register for fall sports. The Utah High School Activities Association says they're caught in the middle between the law and the courts. The sponsor of the ban says it should be simplified.
I think a lot of the parents who are seeing this going, oh, am I? Because once they click, they can click the whole thing, right? Saying that they're a transgender female, used to identify as a male, now identify as a female, and they can go through the whole process and still register the rest of the way as if they can play. Even though under current state law, they can't play as the law stands today.
The judge refused the state's request to dismiss the lawsuit. It is expected to go to trial in 2023.
A proposal to dredge Utah Lake and create islands and highways across the lake hit another barrier today, in part because of a bill passed in the last legislative session. House Bill 240 gives the State Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands a say over any proposal that would dredge Utah Lake. After its passage, the division met with Utah Lake Solutions as they drafted a memo outlining their plan. But the division has now deemed it not in the state's best interest to go any further.
I have been advised by our legal counsel that there are material and substantive legal issues with the proposals submitted by Lake Restoration Solutions, and that it is detrimental to the state of Utah and the public trust. This project presents a risk to the state of Utah.
Barnes also says while many believe the lake is getting worse, the division actually believes improvements are being made without a plan like this.
Well, here's the forecast many of you have been waiting for. Will we see the northern lights here in Utah tonight? Let's go ahead. Let's talk about it because we do have a G3 storm for tonight in the forecast, a strong solar storm. So the scale is 1 to 5, G1, G2, 3, G4, G5, and tonight's is a G3, which is a strong storm. The best time is 3 to 4 hours around midnight, although the aurora does occur throughout the evening. And the best views would be away from light pollution and facing north. And if you get any pictures tonight, we would love to see those to news@fox13now.com. It'll be strong tonight, and then for tomorrow night, a moderate forecast. So here's the best viewing off to our north. But I do want to point out that depending on the KP index tonight, there's a different scale for that viewing of the northern lights. Depending on how strong that gets and the higher the number, the lower on the horizon that you'd be able to see the northern lights. So right now, the best chance for viewing would be up into Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, but there's a chance that we can see it visible on the horizon from us here across much of Utah. And we're going to have the clear sky tonight, at least for northern Utah. Temperatures will be in the 70s at about midnight tonight, so actually pretty comfortable for any viewing that you're going to be doing. We still have a lot of clouds, though, across southwest Utah. So here's what we're watching for you the next couple of days. More heat tomorrow, plus more chances for storms. So that storm threat for tomorrow will include much of the state. That also brings us the possibility for some isolated storms all the way to northern Utah for the mountains and for the valleys. Overnight temps when you wake up tomorrow morning around 65 to 75 degrees. And we're going to continue with some clouds across southern Utah this evening. And then late afternoon into tomorrow, we're going to see more chances for storms, especially across southwest Utah, and a lot of clouds moving into northern Utah. For St. George, your best chance for storms the next few days will be scattered tomorrow, widely scattered for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For Ogden, your chance for storms the next couple of days will be widely scattered to scattered Friday to Saturday, widely scattered on Sunday. And for Utah County into Provo, your chance for storms the next few days will be widely scattered Friday, scattered Saturday, widely scattered on Sunday. St. George, you're in the 90s for your entire 7-day forecast, but it's going to be a little bit hotter next week. So week 2 for the kids at school, it'll be near 100 degrees by next Tuesday. And here along the Wasatch Front, we have temperatures cooling quite a bit into the 80s Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a chance for some storms here in Salt Lake as well. We'll talk more about that coming up in your Super 7-day forecast.
All right, Allison, thank you. 3 days after being diagnosed with leukemia, Zach Hansen of Boise passed away. Tonight, we talked with his widow and the mother of their 4 children.
You may remember last night we told you about this man who has Utah ties, who went to the doctor worried about what he thought was an infection in his knee. He then found out it was leukemia, and he died 3 days later.
Fox 13 News spoke with Zach Hansen's widow today, who along with their 4 children are trying to comprehend what has happened.
He was an old soul, yet a kid at heart.
Natalie Hansen is savoring who she's been married to for 16 years.
And he loved history, War and Peace, a lot of Russian authors.
But he also loved VR, video games, Zelda, and making escape rooms for their 4 children.
He's a great storyteller, so he'd tell them stories, he'd tell them history stories. If they had a problem or a question about something, he would answer it using a history story to help teach them.
And he was a man of great faith.
He, on Sunday the 7th, when he was diagnosed, already he said, I feel peace. I've lived a good life. I'm not scared to die. And we didn't even know anything then, but I think that he knew he just had a feeling because he kind of gave us a farewell speech, even though it was the first day, but we had the diagnosis.
With him in the hospital and the family celebrating his son's 8th birthday at home, he learned the stunning truth.
But he didn't want to tell us till after his birthday party because he didn't want to. And that's the sort of dad he was too. And he was by himself at the hospital with the diagnosis, but he didn't want to ruin our son's day.
The doctors were optimistic at first.
But Wednesday morning, the doctor called and said, "You need to come in right now."
Zach had taken a turn for the worse, and they both realized what was happening. And they talked.
He told me some things that, just in case he couldn't tell me later.
And then his organs started to shut down.
And they sent him to the ICU, and he had a whole team. They were working so hard.
3 code blues, and then he was gone.
And as we look back, there have been so many miracles in the last even years that I can see now we're preparing us for this.
We've only been able to scratch the surface of what this family has been through in this story anyway. The children are getting counseling, and before his death, Zach called his brothers to make sure they would provide a father figure for his children. One other thing Natalie wanted us to point out, and that is Zach had type O blood, and so he donated blood regularly. In fact, he had donated just before he was diagnosed. They test that blood very carefully, of course, and his was fine, which indicates just how aggressive this leukemia was.
It's an incredible story. And for a young, healthy man.
Yeah.
Well,
heartbreaking.
he
Just
left a mark.
absolutely.
What an incredible family.
Yes. And a legacy that will live on for a long, long time.
Bob, thank you for sharing. Emotional. Well, Utah is facing a teacher shortage right now, and it's serious. I sat down with a member of the Utah Board of Education to talk about what can be done. That conversation up next.
As you no doubt know, teachers are absolutely necessary in our society, but how their positions are perceived is failing our children.
Bob, a teacher shortage has a grip right now on the nation with some shocking underlying reasons. I went to the Utah State Board of Education to find out why our schools are maxed out and why teachers feel dismissed. Utah has roughly 674,000 students right now across the state entering kindergarten through 12th grade. I pledge allegiance to the flag. And approximately 33,000 teachers. And to the republic. But is that enough to fulfill such a mighty obligation?
We have heard the stories. They can't find a school counselor or they can't find a math teacher.
Dr. Malia Height, Executive Coordinator of Education Licensing for the Utah State Board of Education, is extra busy this time of year.
Well, we are still in the hiring frenzy.
Right now, some schools simply do not have enough educators to go around. It's Math 101. Students are greater than teachers, leaving unfulfilled teaching positions.
Unfortunately, some of those will remain unfilled this school year.
And when that happens, other teachers and staff have to pick up the slack, increasing class sizes, workloads, and stress. Nationwide, the teacher shortage in the United States is hitting a crisis level, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Roughly 300,000 public school educators and staff left the field between February of 2020 and May 2022.
We're certainly not immune to that in Utah. We also are seeing a teacher shortage here.
Why do you think they're leaving?
Everybody will say it's a compensation thing.
In Utah, a teacher straight out of school makes on average $48,000 per year.
It's not the pay.
But Dr. Height points out, thinking one thing but truly feeling, observing, and data is another. She says compensation is not the main reason teachers are dismissing themselves from their positions.
It's that they're not feeling valued. They're not feeling appreciated by the community, by the politicians and our legislators, and we're seeing things come into our schools and our classes and really attacking the profession of teaching rather than elevating and supporting them.
The COVID pandemic, you can say, worked as a mirror for teachers to evaluate their workload, risks, demands, and how they were seen and treated by students, parents, and beyond. A harsh realization on what society thinks of educators in our country.
Other countries who have higher academic testing scores is they have, not only do they pay their teachers more, but there also is a cultural respect for educators that is simply not here in the U.S.
Dr. Height says there is a common thread she hears time and time again from teachers who are exiting the system.
It's that the stress is too much and they do it because they love it. They don't do it for the paycheck, but they're not getting the support and recognition that they need to fill their buckets.
You're aware of it. So as the State Board of Education, what are you doing to change that?
How do you change culture and how do you elevate the profession of teaching as a profession? And that's something that we haven't cracked the code yet.
But there are some ideas on the table that are now being closely looked at.
We really need to think outside the box of paychecks as compensation. We need to start looking at maybe flexible schedules. Is there a way to think creatively around school schedules so that educators have more breaks in their day?
And that last point, time, in particular mental health time, is paramount to the Board of Education.
It's a taxing and emotional job, and they need to be able to take care of themselves.
As an organization, they're trying to create solutions to the overwhelming investment of personal time that throws off a healthy work-life balance.
One of the things we have to address is that our teachers are humans and they need to take breaks, and we need to support them in saying, when your contract time is over at 3:30, you're done working.
But when the bell rings and there's more to do, Dr. Height says educators will put in the extra time to benefit their students, but it shouldn't have to be done free of charge.
This is something that the legislation and also the board have thought about pretty intensively, is providing additional time for educators to plan so that they can prepare and do the work that they maybe would be doing at home and not getting compensated for, that they would have paid time to do that.
Concerns of a dwindling teacher workforce prompted the Utah State Legislature to audit the public school system in December of 2021.
This is a thick report.
Yes, it was a meaty report.
Within the 56 pages, a revealing look at the generations of teachers and who's being affected the most by pressures of the job.
We did find that in the first 5 years that their teachers were losing more of them, but if they can stick around for those first 5 years, then we keep them for 90% of the time for the rest of their career.
To try and capture those educators from switching careers, the board is implementing new guidelines and practices to give more emotional and professional support.
One of the big parts of our retention strategy is to provide better quality mentoring of new teachers.
It's still too early to tell if the strategy is working. But in the meantime, Dr. Height says a different pandemic is spreading and infecting educational institutions.
It's about the nationwide kind of attacks on education.
She believes the cure is held within every parent, student, and member of society's mind frame.
The culture around how we talk about and treat our teachers. They truly are heroes, and we need to provide them with the respect and the appreciation and gratitude for taking care of our most vulnerable population.
Are you nervous for the future of Utah schools?
A lot of really innovative things happening, but it's just going to take time for us to get there.
How much time?
Isn't that the golden question?
The golden question that we all want answers to. As a mom myself, I see this happening in my children's schools, in my own community. And it's very concerning, and you fear not only for your child's education, but for the future of our state and of our country as well.
Yeah, our two families are in different school districts, and I see it in our school district as well.
The shortage is not confined to places.
Well, and here's the really interesting thing. If we're not going to pay teachers more to do more, we at least have to give them the emotional support and the kudos that they really deserve.
As Dr. Haidt said, it truly isn't a money thing. It is how teachers are thought of and treated.
Yeah, the respect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Kelly, great report.
Thank you. Time will tell.
Yeah.
And time is of the essence when we're dealing with our children.
Well, coming up, people rallied at the White House today for a naval officer and Latter-day Saint who they say is unfairly imprisoned in Japan. We'll take you to Washington.
And after losing her primary race, Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney says she is not done fighting former President Donald Trump. We'll explain.
In national news, family and friends of Lieutenant Ridge Alconis gathered in Washington, D.C. today to demand help from the U.S. government in bringing him back because they say he is being unjustly imprisoned in Japan.
Alconis is a U.S. Navy officer and Latter-day Saint. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison in Japan after killing 2 Japanese people in a car crash in May of 2021. He blacked out while driving, blaming altitude sickness. A judge rejected his excuse, saying Alconis simply fell asleep at the wheel.
All of us humbly ask and actually demand that our government use all the resources at their disposal to bring Ridge home.
According to multiple sources, the U.S. government is talking to Japanese officials about bringing Alconis back to the U.S. to serve out his sentence.
I will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office.
Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney is not ruling out a potential run for president after she lost in last night's Republican primary in Wyoming with Trump-backed Harriet Hageman. Just hours after losing her primary election, Cheney converted her campaign finance accounts into a political action committee. Her spokesperson says she'll use it against any potential Trump campaign for president.
Still ahead, it is a historic time for the highest court in Utah. With the latest justice confirmed, which demographic now holds the majority as major cases are headed their way.
Well, there's big Jazz news today. The new schedule is out and the broadcast future looks bright. I'll have the details. And we'll get ready for UFC 278. 2 of the top fighters in the world preparing to match up this Saturday in Salt Lake City.
Congratulations, Justice Coleman.
History was made in the Utah State Senate today. Senators voted unanimously to confirm Judge Jill Pullman to the Utah Supreme Court. Her confirmation creates a female majority on the state's high court.
I am honored and truly humbled by this historic appointment to the Utah Supreme Court. I am looking forward to serving the citizens of the great state of Utah in this new and important role.
The Utah Supreme Court has some major cases coming up, including abortion rights, transgender rights, and redistricting challenges.
On Utah's Capitol Hill this afternoon, the Utah Highway Patrol K-9 officers were honored by the Senate. The ceremony recognized Aros, a K-9 officer who recently died. But the Senate also recognized the other dogs who work at the Capitol, providing security all throughout the year.
Students of the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind want to spread the news. Their long-awaited new co-ed 8-on-8 football season has officially begun. Today, family and friends were invited to watch as they held practice at the campus in Salt Lake City. The school's associate superintendent says over the past few years, boys and girls have come to her office asking for the opportunity to play football. And she's ecstatic they finally have the chance.
When you're in these kind of roles, when students come to you and say, I want something, you want so badly to give it to them. You want so badly for them to have it. And for this year to say, you got it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm excited for them.
The game itself is still the same. Whether you're deaf, hard of hearing, or if you are a hearing individual that can speak, it's still just a game. There's no difference. The difference for us is that we're not going to have the cadence of our huddle looking down, and we're just having to look at the ball.
Coach Tingey says they'll be focusing on team, unity, and having fun. He also shared the games will be hosted at other schools or potentially other fields around the Salt Lake Valley.
Have a great season. It was a long night for a father and son duo who were adamant about being the very first customers at the brand new In-N-Out location in Logan. They love those burgers. The two from Salem started camping out on Monday. They were excited when the restaurant finally opened its doors and started its drive-thru at 8 o'clock this morning.
Slept 15 minutes. And was it worth it? Heck yeah. It was definitely worth it. Got first in line. The All-Stars were kind of counting on me to be there, you know. They known me since Spanish Fork, where I was first in line there.
Our customers are amazing, and you know, to be able to open this store and have such a welcoming, we couldn't be more blessed.
Okay, Carson there. Did he say the All-Stars were counting on him?
The All-Stars.
The All-Star
Hamburger eaters?
I'm with you, though, Carson. I love those burgers. I just didn't know people ate
Why
at
weren't
8
you
a.m.
first in line, Cal?
I guess I'm not that lucky to be able to eat burgers at 8 a.m. anymore. You know, while there were lines at the start, our Fox 13 News crew say it looked like the restaurant was prepared, and by 10 o'clock this morning, things were rolling along smoothly.
Next.
Oh my goodness, I could have listened to that kid talk about his experience all day long. Wow. Well, hey, come tomorrow, we're going to be talking about some flooding concerns across southwestern portion of the state, highlighted in green. We do have some flood watches that have been issued tomorrow for Bryce Canyon, down through Zion National Park, up towards about Cedar City. So hour by hour forecast for this evening will continue with 60s and 70s here across this northern Utah, the state, into southern Utah, some 50s actually south of I-70 near Beaver and Bryce Canyon, and Manti at 54 degrees. We'll have those temperatures into tomorrow afternoon warming up again. So we hit 100 degrees here in Salt Lake City today. We've got a chance tomorrow that will be very close again as well. So honestly, wouldn't be surprised if we don't hit that century mark tomorrow. So we'll have the temperatures over the next couple of days that'll be cooling down for northern Utah this weekend, but we'll continue with the flash flooding being a top priority. So for Glen Canyon, Grand Staircase, Natural Bridges, Grand Gulch, and for Zion tomorrow, our flash flood potential is probable for those areas. And for St. George, your temperatures are going to be heating up a little bit more next week, but your low 90s Thursday through the weekend with chances for storms every single day. And it looks like tomorrow would be maybe one of your best chances for those storms to develop. But they're not going to be widespread all day long storms. Are going to be storms that will quickly move in, quickly move out, but could pack a punch. 87 on Friday here in Salt Lake. Air quality will be getting better by Friday. But for tomorrow, you're looking at orange, unhealthy for sensitive groups. Saturday, 84 degrees in Salt Lake City. Let's go ahead and walk you through this chance for storms the next couple of days. It's going to fast forward first to tomorrow at 5 p.m. Thursday, timestamp right here at 5 p.m. Best chance for storms into southwest Utah and Nevada. Then into Friday afternoon, we're going to have that chance for storms even for central and northern Utah, really filling in with heavy rainfall across southern Utah. And by Saturday, more chances for storms here across the state. Sunday, 85, Monday, 86 degrees here in Salt Lake as we break down that chance of precipitation for Salt Lake. Friday, widely scattered. Saturday, scattered to maybe even widespread, and then those chances start to go down Sunday and Monday. We'll keep those temperatures near 90 by next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, good news for Utah Jazz fans who have expressed frustration on how they can watch games on TV or on digital devices. The Jazz have heard those complaints, and they're negotiating for a broadcast and streaming partner that will start in the 2023-24 season. Jazz games will remain on AT&T Sportsnet this upcoming season, but the window has now opened for the Jazz to find a new broadcast partner with the goal of making Jazz games available through a traditional TV broadcast, a pay-per-view streaming option that ranges from season to single game options, and an option for bundle streaming like weekend games. President of the Utah Jazz, Jim Olson, said in a statement, We're excited about the productive discussions we have initiated with a variety of providers and are looking forward to solidifying the best future partnership for our organization and fans. A Jazz schedule, meanwhile, released. They are open at home on October 21st against Denver. Then they play at Minnesota 2 days after that against Rudy Gobert. Their first of 4 national TV games is on November 15th against the Knicks. Gobert returns to Vivint Arena on December 7th. Royce O'Neal and the Nets here on the 20th of January, and Joe Ingles of the Bucks will be here on March 24th. We're 3 days out from the biggest ultimate fighting event in the history of the state. A dozen fighters from UFC 278 were in town today to talk about it, including the 2 welterweights making up the main event on Saturday night at Vivint Arena. Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman both have fought before, Usman winning that 7 years ago in a unanimous decision. They both have rags to riches stories. Edwards was born in Jamaica before moving to the UK, where his father was killed at a young age. He's 19-3-1 overall. And then there's the Nigerian-born Usman, who's 20-1, born in poverty. He later found his way to Texas, where he became a wrestling champion. He now lives in Denver, so there is a familiarity with the location.
You know, we just get to come out here and give Salt Lake City a treat. And if this fight goes anything like I'm imagining, we're going to give them a tremendous fight that they will never forget, Salt Lake City.
First of all, I didn't know where it was, I was like, what the hell is that? I asked my manager, when you're a kid, you picture like your first UFC title, you always picture somewhere massive, like it's going to be in Vegas, it's going to be like New York and somewhere like dramatic, but title is a title, no matter where you put it, I'll become world champion, so here's what it is.
When it comes down to it at the end of the day, it's him and I locked in there. If we can shut out everybody, he knows what's going to happen, and I know what's going to happen.
It'll be a great event. We'll be right back.
Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9.
Stick around. QuickCast is next.